Yeah, I think I had the best possible upbringing a person can have, which is good parents and no money. I didn't get famous or rich young, which I also thank the Lord for. I think a lot of these people who get famous online quite early, I think they miss out a lot of life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
No, I had real jobs and I did real things and I was really broke and I was really on the bus and really trying to pay rent and doing real stuff for a long time. I love that you say that because I always say I'm not rich. I'm a poor man with a lot of money. I always used to say that. And I don't want to brag or anything, but just because I get asked this question a lot. I've been extremely successful. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, I think our last valuation across everything we own was almost at B now. So we're doing very, very, yeah. I'm a billionaire. Top G's a billionaire. So we're doing extremely well. That's the first thing. The second thing, it's great that you say that because I completely agree. Because if you're born with everything, if you're born with all this money, that you have no aspiration, nothing to actually grasp onto and trying to achieve, then money doesn't make you happy. But then you can analyze this from another angle, right? We were just talking earlier, we can always pivot back to who the matrix are, who's in charge. So let me ask you.
Do you have somebody that
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're born into a dynasty, let's say a banking dynasty, and you're born a billionaire, and you have everything you've ever wanted ever, and money has absolutely no value at all, and a brand new Ferrari doesn't mean a thing. You could buy one every 10 minutes for the rest of your life, and money doesn't make you happy. What's the one thing that's going to make you happy?
Controlling others.
Controlling others. Power.
Yeah.
Ego. So then you sit there and start looking at things.
Because
and going,
games become real.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now you're like, okay, well, money doesn't satisfy me. What makes me feel important? Especially if you're going to add in. Let's add in another angle to it. Let's imagine you falsely believe, because it is falsely, that you're somehow genetically better than others. You're from this lineage. You're better than the other people. And the other people, the serfs and peasants, are struggling for money, and you have unlimited money because you're so smart and your family's always been so smart.
You'll have haughty eyes.
Yeah. So then you're going to sit there and go, well, why did they make people put on a mask when they walked in the restaurant and take the mask off to eat and then put it on to go to the toilet and then take it off to eat and then put it back on? Because I'll tell you why, because it's funny.
You think it's just because it's funny?
Because it's an ego. Because it's ego.
I thought it was the test to see how far they could push somebody.
Compliance tests.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing. So when you really understand that people who are in charge of the world are completely, like you said, broken. They're broken people. Money can't satisfy them. People said, I keep referencing COVID, and I do that because it was something tangible that everybody lived through. That's a very easy one to reference.
It's a bad thing that could work in your favor because now they could relate to you.
Yeah. When I was saying during COVID about the Matrix, everyone called me crazy. And by the end of COVID, a lot of people were like, Andrew, you nailed it, day one. Because I don't think many people understand, because I wasn't nearly as famous then, but the videos exist on the internet. Me and my brother were the kings of COVID. Everyone else now understands it was garbage. Everyone else talks tough. Everyone else has their story about how they went out during COVID.
Talk now.
But you're tough now. On day one of COVID, day one, when they still had the people falling over in the street in China.
Yeah, what was that? That video?
Yeah.
They're just running in the street and dropping dead?
Yep. When the Italian hospital was overrun, day one, my brother and I sat down and had a conversation in our war room, our cigar lounge, which is very similar to this. And we sit down and said, if this disease will kill people like you and I, military-aged males, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse. So what are we going to do? And we sat there and decided whether we should hide as long as possible or if we should just go out all guns blazing. So we decided to go out all guns blazing like heroes. This is all documented. It's on video. And day one of COVID, when everyone else was afraid, we flew to Sweden because it was the only open country. And we spent the next 4 months...
Ironic.
Yeah.
Because who lives in Sweden?
Very strange. We spent the next 4 months in Stockholm and 6 nights a week in nightclubs with Swedish chicks partying while the rest of the world was locked in their house. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about the fact that Sweden was open, no restrictions, you could do whatever you wanted, nightclubs were open, everyone was partying, everyone else was locked up, not allowed to go to funerals. We were literally in parties all day, every day. I didn't even get sick, didn't even get a cold, and it was cold outside, didn't even get the sniffles. So we beat COVID, we won COVID early. So even after this experience, for the next 2 years of COVID, I'm trying to scream at people, listen, wake up. And like, oh, yeah, they wouldn't just put it on the news. They wouldn't just lie to us and try and scare us all for no reason until you understand the good and evil in the world and you understand that's how the devil actually operates. But the point I was going to make earlier about talking about how these people are broken and money doesn't satisfy them. People often say, COVID was just for money. And I say, that's actually a very optimistic view of the world. It wasn't just for money. It was for something far worse.
They have money.
They print money.
This shit,
money is not real. It's not real. They just print it. It's not real.
Fair. Please continue.
Yeah, so money's not real. And I say that to people. They go,
So it's not about money.
No, it's not about money. So what's it about? It's about power and control.
Yeah.
Because when you get to a certain level of wealth, and I'll talk from my own personal experience, I want people to understand I come from the lowest possible socioeconomic background. I come from a single mother household. My father and mother broke up when I was 9. I lived in Luton, England, which is the worst town in England. I grew up and went to a school with a 3% pass rate. Everyone around me was stabbing each other and selling drugs.
I thought you said your father was one of the best fathers you've ever had.
He was. But my mother and father broke up and he stayed in America and I moved to England. And he wasn't financially successful, but he taught me other lessons.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad he didn't give me money because I think that a harsh upbringing and a harsh life makes a man a man. I don't think you learn a lesson any other way. But I come from the absolute bottom, and now I'm up at a position where we have a very large empire. A lot of it is shadow. Most people don't know what it is, but even our overt things, even our university and things that are online are turning over $15, $20 million a week. So we're doing crazy sums of money. So I've been from the absolute bottom to the absolute top. I've seen it all. And once you get past a certain level of wealth, once you get past a certain level of money, yeah, but then you understand what money is, right? So we say about money not being real. Money is not real from a governmental perspective because they just print it. It's nothing. But money is truthfully the stored time and energy of other people. If you have money, you have stored time and energy of other humans.
Because hourly rates.
That's right. Because I can take that money and make someone else use their time and energy for X things. If I'm going to come along and say, you're no longer my slave. As my slave, you had to work for a house and a car. You're no longer my slave. In slavery, let's actually look at slavery.
Slavery began that way.
Yeah, and slavery said, you work on my plantation, I give you somewhere to eat.
Or I'll give you my daughter.
Yeah. You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you a house and I'm going to give you food. And you're going to stay here and you're going to work. Slavery is abolished. So now what do? You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you some money. And that money is enough to only buy you a house and some food. We've just put money in the middle. Now, if I can make you do whatever I want for money, and I can print as much money as I want, you're my slave. Because I can print it from the sky and you need it to live. So you are my slave. Money's not real. So I have all of this money. I have the stored time and energy of other humans. And once you get past a certain level of wealth, you understand, which ties back to COVID, that you're not interested in money. What you're interested in is people. It's always been about having good people around you. You want a beautiful, doting, loving woman who's obsessed with you. You want good brothers who will stand by you and make you motivated. You want bodyguards who are going to protect you. You want people. And then you want to look at it further down the rabbit hole. You want to get more sinister. If you've been born into a lineage or a dynasty or the people who control the world, you want people, you want robot people. You don't want to be spoken to disrespectfully. In your empire, in your podcast empire, right? You now have a podcast. Would you allow a member of staff to come along and say, this is bullshit. I don't like how you do this. This is shit. You're shit. Or would you fire him?
I don't know if I would fire them. I would first try to teach them how to behave.
And if they didn't listen,
they're out.
Absolutely. So let's imagine you ran a country. And then let's imagine there's this guy called Top G who sits down there and becomes the most Googled man in the world for telling the world that COVID's a lie. And you're making everybody run around and do everything you say. You're going to allow that person to get away with it? And now you start to understand, that's how the Matrix operates. So the people who are broken, raised on money, are so obsessed with power and control, which explains a lot of the society we're in, because they don't look up to God. These people think they are God. So
that's the biggest fault.
And they're trying to make robots of us all. They're trying to enslave us. They absolutely lack perspicacity. And then you go further down the rabbit hole, because like I said, there's layers to the rabbit hole. I don't even know how Alex Jones you want me to go, but he's right about a lot.
All the way.
He's right about a lot of things.
So you're an Alex Jones fan?
I like a lot of the things he says. And I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but a lot of the things he says have been proven to be absolutely true. You know, you say conspiracy theorist. Nowadays, that just means you're ahead of the curve, unfortunately. And Alex was talking about, and a lot of other people talking about, and there's a lot of text which talks about the fact that the people who are in charge of the world, they believe that as AI improves, a huge percentage of the planet are going to become useless ears. They don't need you anymore. As it stands right now, most people are so uninteresting and so unremarkable that you could replace them online with a chat GPT bot and you wouldn't really notice. Genuinely, that's how boring most humans are. If you're special and remarkable and unique and you're famous or you do whatever, that's different. But most people you could replace with ChatGPT by text, you wouldn't even notice. And that is a free application which is brand new. Imagine we're gonna be in 20 years from now. So we start talking about useless eaters. This has been discussed by very important, very powerful people at length. The same people who are trying to give you the vaccine are talking about the fact that the population of the earth needs to decline. Why do we need, they say it, Bill Gates says it. Why do we need to get rid of people? Well, machines will do it. So why do we need people sitting around who have hopes, dreams, aspirations? They want health care, they want safety, security, children, all of this garbage. We just need somebody to do X job, and a machine can do X job. So what do we need these people for? Well, yeah, because have you ever asked ChatGPT to write a movie?
Like that?
Bro, it's better than anything you've seen in Hollywood in a long time. There's no woke bullshit. It's not about me. It's not about me trying to be the Superman, because I'm not that arrogant. It's just about me understanding what I know is going to happen and feeling like if God has given me a platform which people listen to me, I should at least tell the truth of what's going to happen. Okay. When I'm sitting there and saying to men, look, life as a man is shit. It's always been shit. It's never been good. When men wake up and say, I'm depressed and life is hard and I'm sad and I'm struggling right now, I say, okay, throughout history, men have always struggled. Happiness is for children and women. Name a time in history it was better to be a man. Was it better to be a man in World War II? Was it better to be a man on the Titanic? Was it better to be a man in the Napoleonic Wars? Was it better to be a man when you were sitting in Vienna and the Mongol horde arrived, ready to decapitate any male and enslave all the females? When's it ever been good to be a man? Building the pyramids, was that fun? It's always sucked. The only time being a man ever is good is if you become an exceptional man, which is even something feminists admit, because feminists sit and complain about men and say, well, men have this, men have that, but they're talking about 2% of men.
Fascinating.
They don't talk about all men. They say men have the best jobs. 2% of men have the best jobs. Most men carry trash. So you're talking crap. So everyone accepts that the best possible human experience that exists is the top 2% of men. Anything below that sucks as a man. You're better off being a chick. So what I say to men is, look, life's hard. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to suck. It always has. The only way to get out is to become excellent and perform at a level where your echelon is so high that you get to live this brand new experience. You need to become strong and smart and interesting and charismatic. You need to become rich, powerful, well-known, connected. You need to do it.
But could all men do that?
No.
So, okay.
But I have to tell them the truth. When people come along to me and say, my life's shit, and I look at them and go, yes. When I say rich, I teach financials because I think financials are important.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, and you have a responsibility to take care of your family. So I think that as a man, your happiness comes from feeling respected over feeling loved. And the reason perhaps you're happy now is because you have more respect for yourself because of the decisions you're making. And you have self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of men, even if they have self-respect, if nobody else respects them, they're struggling. I think male depression can be fixed with respect.
I want to tap into depression. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that it's massively overdiagnosed. I say depression isn't real because I speak in absolutes. I think the idea of feeling depressed is real. I don't feel like it's a clinical disease that you catch from the sky and it can't be fixed. I feel like depression is feedback, pain is feedback, and your mind and body is telling you something must change. And if you make those changes, you will feel happier. I don't buy into the idea that it is a disease. I think it's situational, and you must change your situation and your actions and your decisions to feel better. And that's why I say it's not real. It's not a disease. It's so interesting you say this, because when I say depression isn't real and it's situational and you have to change your situation to feel better, people often come back to me and say, well, what about celebrities? Because celebrities live perfect lives and they kill themselves. And I argue that with the exact point you made, because a celebrity sits there, Robin Williams, I'm depressed. And instead of people sitting down with him and saying, Robin, listen,
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're as famous as you can get. You live the most privileged life you can live. You can have a 19-year-old girlfriend tomorrow. Let's find out what's making you sad. Let's go on safari. Let's see some tigers.
Or get rid of the shit that's making you depressed.
Completely.
There's no attack towards making progress. There's just trying to take the easy way out.
That's
One,
right.
labeling myself.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I can't do it today. I have anxiety
Yep.
or I have depression.
Yep.
Now, mind you, there might be some people out there that actually wake up and they have a lot of things on them. I think you need to find God.
Oh, absolutely.
That's it.
Nobody's going to care about you more than you.
Nobody.
Nobody's going to wake up each morning and go, you know what? Andrew Tate only has 53 cars. He needs a 54th car. I'm going to get up and I'm going to work hard and buy him a car. No, that's my job.
Did your money make you happier? Or did it cause you more anxiety?
Okay, that's a really interesting question, which we'll talk about actually. But everything you said about depression is super true. And Robin Williams, his mistake is that he went to a therapist who confirmed his bias, confirmed he's depressed. They then sat there and talked about being depressed 3 times a week for 2 hours a day. Then they put him on mind-altering drugs to make him feel better. And after 9 years of therapy, he jumped off a building. If I were to take mind-altering drugs and talk about being sad all day, every day, I'd probably jump off a building too. So it's absolutely the wrong thing you can do. And I want to make a point here, because when I talk about depression, people always defend it. I said this, I was having a conversation with someone. I don't believe in things that take away power from me. I don't care if depression is real. I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't believe in something that takes away power from me because I can't become depressed if I don't believe in depression. And that allows me to shield my mind from the idea of being a depressed person. I can feel depressed temporarily, but I can never become a depressed person because it doesn't exist. You can lock me in a Romanian jail cell for 93 days with cockroaches. I will not be depressed. I will feel a little bit sad, of course, but I will never become a depressed person because I don't believe in it. And when I say this, depressed people are like, no, depression's real, it's ruined my life, it's taken everything from me, depression's real, depression's real. I said, you sound like it's promotional team. You sound like it's
their
PR
God.
team.
It's their God. They're worshiping it.
You're worshiping it because it gives you a cure-all excuse for your monumental failures, as opposed to waking up and going, you know what, maybe I'm a fuck up. Nothing to do with depression. Maybe I've just been fucking up. Maybe depression isn't real and I've just been fucking up and I should fix a few of these things.
What have I been reaping?
Absolutely. And you'd be amazed how depression will lose power over your life and lose its ability to destroy your life if you stop giving it so much respect and just wake up and say, let me fix X, Y, and Z. What can I control? Let me clear. Has money made me happier or made me more anxious? And the answer to that is both. I think that you're certainly anxious when you have an empire because you understand how difficult it is to maintain, especially in my position, right? I've been hit by DCAUT and FBI and all these huge federal agencies that are trying to take everything I've ever worked for.
And from your loved ones that you're leaving.
And from my loved ones, all the money I've ever made. It's actually a very difficult, precarious situation to be in. And even if you ever get to the position where you pay yourself $500,000 every single morning, you get concerned with, am I still going to be able to do this? Then the money ain't making you happy. You're working so hard to make sure you'll always be able to pay yourself that money that you don't even spend, that you don't even need.
That's the pride thing I was trying to tell you about.
Of course.
So
but this is how you hold on to things.
And it's a stomach that keeps needing.
It does keep needing. You're completely right. But that's also how there's no light without dark. The stomach keeps needing. Completely agree with you. But that's also how I managed to propel myself from here to here. And I'm going to go want to beat this garbage even higher. So I agree with you. It's my gas. Yeah. My gas is. And then, so there's anxiety attached.
Did that change when you got a daughter?
I think in some ways it got worse because there's anxiety attached to my money. But the true happiness that I get from my money is the fact that I can give people I care about anything I want.
You could set them free.
I can set them free.
Yeah.
So I said this even to a girl I was dating. I said, you're happy all the time. And I love that because I'm stressed and I'm not complaining about being stressed. I think the masculine role is to wake up stressed. I wake up stressed. I wake up and I've got a bunch to do, a bunch of people to talk to, a bunch of money to make, etc. I'm stressed. I'm not miserable, but I'm certainly concerned all of the time. I'm focused all of the time. I'm always busy. I have a lot going on. I'm never relaxed. I'm never at peace. That's not who I am as a person.
Do you think people confuse stress with depression?
I think so, and I think that you're supposed to be stressed. Which is the coward's ways out. But I actually love feeling stressed. I do best when I'm stressed. It
pushes you.
I've had 87 professional fights. For about 3 of those fights, for some reason I wasn't nervous, and it really bothered me. So why am I not nervous? I like feeling nervous. I like being stressed. I fight better. I react quicker. Have you ever been jumped? Like you get scared if someone jumps out at you? That's when you're the fastest you've ever been.
Yep.
So I think stress is a fantastic motivator. It's a beautiful thing. But I was saying to this girl, I don't get any of the happiness you get from life. You wake up and you do your nails and you shop for Prada and you get to look gorgeous and you smile all day and you get to make a cute cupcake and you bring me the cupcake and you laugh, ha ha ha, cupcake. I'm concerned with real important things. DCAR are trying to put me in jail. Millions of dollars have gone missing. Like I'm dealing with real stuff. You're dealing with cupcakes. Yeah. But I am happy that I go through all of this so I can make you happy.
Yeah.
So my money makes me
provider.
happy. Yeah, I'm a provider. My money makes me happy because every single person I love lives a fantastic life.
Can I ask
you
a question?
And if I have to suffer so 50 people can live content, I believe that a man should do that.
I think you have a warrior mindset, right? And you have people that you care for and you provide for. You have your brother and you have your family. Do you feel like your stress comes from holding on to what you hold dear, that pride aspect of things? Like, I gotta be top G. Nobody's top G. I'm top G.
You know where I actually think it comes from? I actually think it comes from because I know I've only reached 10% of what I can actually do.
Let's go.
And that bothers me. And no matter how much money I'm making or how most Googled man alive, whatever, I can still identify the inefficiencies in my systems. I can still identify where more money could have been made. And money isn't that important, but like we said, money is a very simple way to measure success because it's numbers. Numbers are easy.
Yeah.
This number, that number. It's easy. What does a company do when it wants to measure the success of a company? It looks at the numbers. What does a YouTube channel do? It looks at the numbers. Numbers are easy. So if you're going to say, how do I be successful in life? Money is not everything, but it's a nice, easy way to measure because it's numbers. And then when you understand it's the time and energy of other people, you sit and go, okay, well, I have this large empire now, and I have all these people who work for me, and all these people I love, and all these people I care about, and all these children, and all this going on. And the world is getting more and more messed up, and everything's on a decline, and everything's being destroyed, and a certain number of people are going to become useless eaters, are going to be eradicated, and they're going to try and lock us all in our 15-minute cities for the climate or some garbage. That's coming in no time. How do I combat and fight all of this and protect all the people I care about? Well, I need the time and energy of others. I need an army, so I need money. So you start waking up saying, okay, 1 billion is shit, Tristan. And he's like, Andrew, we're from a single mother household and our company got valued at $1.2 billion and you own 100% of it. No, we need at least 10. And then you start getting, then I get mad. And my stress comes from the fact that I don't have enough. But is it for me or is it for just being able to care about all the people I care about?
Well, from how you described it, it seems like you're just gearing up for war. And a man who knows his next move knows his next problems.
Yeah. So, finance are the sinews. I can't remember the exact saying, but he said it perfectly. He basically said that money is, if you're going to go to war, get your money right.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. What are we sending to Ukraine right now? Money. Billions of dollars.
That we print
money. What do we send to Israel? Money. Money, money, money. Right? So if I feel like I'm going to go to war, I need money. And even in this war I've been in, even when I went to jail, right? Not a lot of people understand how the legal system works, but the process itself is a punishment. The day I was arrested, all of my bank accounts were frozen. All of my cars were seized.
That's scary, dude.
Yeah, all of my cars were seized. All of my diamond watches were taken. $900,000 in cash was taken. Gold bars was taken. All of my value was taken, right? So since January, technically, I haven't had access to a dollar. It's now been a year, and I don't have a penny, according to default in the Romanian legal system. Luckily, I have some good friends who look after me. But let's say...
He winked at me like I had that funds.
But
I don't.
They've taken everything officially.
So you still don't have your stuff back?
No, of course not. So as a man, you have to take self-accountability for absolutely everything. I'm still upset with what they've done. However, there are equal opposing forces inside of Romania, one trying to lock me up and one that keeps setting me free.
And that's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, so I have people in this country on my team. The whole country's not against me or I never would have got out. So this will be dropped. I'm not going to be found guilty because I haven't done anything wrong. They accuse me of human trafficking. They accuse me of using the lover boy method, which is convincing girls by being nice to do a job to take the money from the girls. Because I told 2 of my friends who are girls how to get big on TikTok. Your ability to speak, which that's a side point. Let me just finish here about when I was talking about money and gearing up for war. Since January, I haven't had access to a single dollar. Now I'm me, right? So perhaps I have very rich friends. Perhaps I was paranoid and prepared. Perhaps I have multiple identities. Who knows how I pulled it off to have all the cars again, right? But most humans could not survive getting grabbed from their house in January, all of their bank accounts frozen, every app on their phone taken away from them, their passport seized, thrown in a cell, and then taken out of that cell, locked in their house for 5 months. And then even when they're allowed out of the house, they still don't have a dollar. How do you pay the rent? How do you pay the bills? How do you feed people? And this was actually interesting because when I was in jail, my number one concerns were not for me. My biggest concerns when I was in jail was for everyone I care about. I'd get my phone time and I'd be on the phone like, okay, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, listen, we only have 5 minutes.
Let me make sure you get paid.
Is this paid? Yeah. Are you okay? Do you need this? Do you need that? I just spent all my time trying to look after other people from a prison cell with seized bank accounts.
Did you think you were going to come out?
No. I thought I was there for a very long time. I thought I was stuck. I thought it was over. I was sitting there talking to people who were there, they'd been there for 4 years without trial, my friend. Everyone around me had been there for years without trial.
When you were put on house arrest, was there any moment that you cried from like happiness? It's like, I'm out. I can't believe I'm out.
I never cried from happiness. And I never cried from sadness because I think crying is an act in and of itself. To cry is to sit and cry. I didn't do that. I did have tears run down my face. Having tears run down my face as I'm doing push-ups, or tears run down my face as I'm organizing the school for my child and my voice isn't breaking, is different than sitting and crying. I didn't sit and dedicate myself to crying. I didn't sit and do the act of crying. My eyes leaked as I achieved. That's what happened to me when I was inside of jail.
What made your eyes leak the most? What was the most concern that was on your heart?
My concern was for everybody else. Of course I can answer that my children, but my children are actually quite young, so they weren't overly concerned because at their age, dad's away, whatever. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was just an overarching view of everything. And I felt a frustration because I had built this monumental empire and it got seized from me, which is a whole nother conversation we can go down when you talk about ownership and property and how the matrix works.
You don't own anything.
Well, you never do.
I mean, you owned all this, but then they're like...
That's right. So what do you own? You own the body you're in, perhaps, but then they force you to get vaccines, so maybe you don't own that anymore. You own your soul. You can own your thoughts, but then that belongs to God. So then what do you even own now on this planet? Because I have people say to me all the time, oh, I'd love to buy a house. And I own my house. You don't own that house. You have to pay property taxes every month. And if you don't pay them, they'll take it off you. You're renting it from the government. To piss the government off, and you'll see how long you own your house. Because I tell you what's going to happen. They're going to turn up with a piece of paper and say it's ours. Done. Happened to me. So you never even own anything on this earth, no matter how much money you have, right? Which also puts money in perspective. All it is time and energy of other people is all it's good for. You can buy a Bugatti, but you don't own that Bugatti. You can drive it a bit, and they let you. Piss the matrix off enough, they'll take that off you too. So the whole world, if you actually start analyzing how it all works, is interesting. But yeah, my concerns in jail were for absolutely everybody else. And that's perhaps why I'm gearing up for war so heavily, because I believe that this war can't be avoided. And a lot of people ask me, why with my money do I not do one of two things, which is one, vanish. Because I could just delete it, shut up, just go away. So I think God's given me this platform to tell the truth, so I'm going to do it. Or the second thing is I could sell out to the system. I could cut.
It's also not you.
It's not me. I could sell to the system, say what they want me to say, promote the things they want me to promote, sell shit to kids, be a piece of shit, and then they'll let me live.
But then you just remove the only thing that you do own, and it's your soul.
Absolutely. And
you don't want them to take that away.
No, exactly. I need to keep something.
Yeah.
So it ain't worth giving that up for a bit more money, because I have unlimited money anyway.
Yeah, but plus, every time you swipe that card when you're gone, you're like, fuck my life, dog. This is
Oh, completely. What do you have if you don't look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I did the right thing? What do you even have?
Oh, boom. Not pride, but integrity.
Okay. Well, we could link the two. You look in the mirror and be proud of yourself. But it's interesting. No, but it's interesting the points you've made. It's giving me something to think about. It's certainly true. But that's why I'm gearing up for war so heavily, because this war, when people ask me why I don't try and avoid it in the two ways we just described, I don't think most people understand that this war is coming for everyone. It can't be avoided. You're either going to become someone like me who's fighting against it, the counterculture, or you're going to buy into it and be a victim of it. I don't think any man who wakes up and accepts the garbage that the Matrix tells them, that yeah, it's okay to be depressed, like we just talked about, yeah, you should be running around doing perkies and Adderall and consuming porn and sleeping with a bunch of hoes, and yeah, go to school and get an education and get in debt, and then go get a mortgage and get in debt, and then 9 to 5 and just slave away, and you'll be retired when you're 74, it's gonna be fine. All the things they push, all the standardized mechanisms that a man's supposed to live his life by, I believe lead to crippling depression and sadness anyway. I don't think that makes anyone happy. So this war is twofold. You can either fight against the system and be its enemy like I am, or you can accept the system and then you're gonna be fighting against yourself in your head, because now you're your own enemy, because you listen to the system and you hate yourself and you hate your life. So what do you want to do? If you can't avoid fighting, do you want to turn on yourself or do you want to turn on your enemy? Every single part of me is on my team. My mind, my hands, my feet, everything, my teeth, you name it. If it goes to war, I've got every single weapon at my disposal. So when people say to me, why am I fighting this war? I say, you're in the war too. You're just gonna be a casualty of it. You're gonna be a forgotten name. Not even a name, you're gonna be a number. In wars, it's interesting, in wars, you look at any war, they'll talk about 12,000 people died here. And one of them was this guy. There's names and there's numbers. So if you're gonna go to war, you can decide, do you wanna be a name or a number, because people are gonna die. People are gonna die regardless. And this is why I teach the things I teach. I say to men, listen, you need to become as strong as possible. You need to make a bunch of money. You need to prepare. You need to have 7 passports in 7 different countries. And you just start sitting there getting paranoid and panicking and getting things done. This is why I push masculine excellence, because when they come for you, when they come for us all, if you have no weapons to defend yourself, you're gonna be one of the 12,000 in the ditch.
So
at least when they kill me, they know who they killed. At least they'll say they killed 12,000 men and Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
At least I get that. You have to aim for something. But this war can't be avoided, and everyone at home doesn't seem to realize. If a man isn't free to say what he thinks in the way he wants to say it, if political correctness or hate speech or whatever, if a man can't even express himself the way he thinks it, is he free? You know? And what they do first is they restrict your speech, because if they restrict your speech, then they can start to restrict your thoughts. If you're not allowed to ever say it, then you're probably not going to think it so often. This is why it's done on purpose. So I don't think that society is very free at all. And I think that in regards to keeping our employment, keeping our money coming in, making sure we don't lose our social medias. Every single person has to censor themselves to some degree, and I try very, very best to skirt that line, as far as possible, so I feel free. Freedom is the ability to scream when you want to scream, be angry when you want to be angry, smile when you want to smile, say what you want, do what you want, and that's a very, very rare commodity in the modern world. That's extremely rare. So I grew up around professional chess players, which is kind of an unusual climate to grow up in, because you're growing up around all these ultra intelligent, semi-autistic, they're weirdos, right? You can't be that good at chess and be normal, right? They're like human calculators. They're all a bit strange, and you have ex-KGB members and like math nerds, and it's just a very weird kind of climate. And my father was a chess master, but my father was very unique because my father was also a professional wrestler and had physicality. So you have like a bunch of dorks. Then you have my dad, this big black dude, and he's like competing in the chess world. So I grew up in a very kind of strange world, and I was a professional chess player. I was on my path to being a professional chess player. At the age of 5, I was the state chess champion for Indiana, and I was the best ranked player under the age of 10, and I was on my way. So I played chess for the early part of my life, and then at the age of 11, my mother and father split up. My mom took me back to Luton. Great place. Lovely. Mm-hmm. So from the age of 11, I grew up in Luton. So that's the very beginning of the story. And a lot's happened between now and then, and here I am. So for a while, I was kind of lost, I would say. I had 4 hours free a day that I never used to previously have. And I didn't get into too much trouble or too much mischief, but I was certainly a bit, how can I replace this thing I used to do all of the time?
What did you replace it with?
I ended up replacing it with fighting.
Yeah, from a young age?
From around about 15, 16, I started kickboxing. And I think that fighting and chess are extremely similar. To me, they align. They fulfilled the same gaps in my psyche, right? People always say, how did you go from being a chess player, which everyone sees as geeky, to a kickboxer? And I said, well, chess is one-on-one battle, right? That's all it is. There's no luck involved. There's no team. There's no wind that can blow the ball. There's no, it's one-on-one. It's a fight. If you lose, you messed up. And fighting feels the same for me. So for me, I thought, well, okay, I can't learn chess well enough without a coach. And I can't find a coach in the UK who I trust to teach me chess, but I can find a coach who can teach me to kick people's ass. So that's kind of how it started. Fighting's kind of weird, right? I think if you talk to any fighter, everyone who starts, lots of people say they had aspirations of being the world title, the world champion at the beginning. I just turned up to training one step at a time, right? I just wanted to be good. So my coach said, you have to train 7 times a week. I said, okay. So I just obeyed. I was just a worker ant. I just did as I was told, and then you win, and you win again, and you win again, and you get a title shot, you win, and before you know it, you get up there. My first ever world title fight was on 3 days' notice. So someone pulled out, and I had 3 days' notice. I had to lose 9 kilo in 3 days. I turned up, obviously was completely destroyed from the weight cut. Everyone expected me to lose. And I won. But they gave and I'll say I won because I did win. They gave the decision to the other guy. It was in France, and it was in Paris, and it was me against the French world champion. They gave it to him. But I whooped his ass, right? And we submitted the video to the ISKA, the organization, and they demanded a rematch because it was so obvious I won. And we fought again, and without the big weight cut problem, I knocked him out in the 8th. It was good, but I don't ever feel like I'm satisfied. I never won the world title and go, yes, I'm the champ now. It was just like, okay, next. I was kind of always like that. I always had these aspirations. I've always kind of felt, without sounding like a crazy conspiracy theorist, even now to this day, I feel, maybe, correct me, you're a smart man, so maybe this will make sense to you. Do you ever look around you and just look at the world and feel like, kind of like we're in the Matrix, like there's something missing? Yeah. I don't know. I was always looking for this secret. I was always looking for, I wouldn't say happiness or contentment, but I was always looking to try and break out of the 9 to 5, just the normal monotony of day-to-day life. And for a long time, I thought fighting was my way out. I don't know what I was trying to get to. I don't know where it was going to lead. But when I just look at the normal life a lot of people live, that is just absolutely depressing to me. Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing it. I'm not shitting on the normal guy. I'm saying you're a stronger man than me. Because if I was a normal dude working in Starbucks, bro, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that day to day. I literally could not do that. And I thought fighting will make sure I never have to do that. I'm dedicating all my time to fighting, which is actually the reason I retired. I retired for 4 years. I came back last year and I fought 3 times. But I actually retired because one day I woke up and I looked at my life and I thought, I'm giving 7 hours a day to fighting. If I were to put 7 hours a day into something else, what else could I achieve? Because I had a little bit of money from fighting, but I wasn't balling. I wasn't rich. And I thought, what's the point in being the world champion if I can't buy Lambos on the debit card, right? What's the point? So then I thought, well, I want to be rich now. So that's actually the reason I retired. So I was always chasing other things. And then now I've got money, I want to fight again. I'm never happy, bro. This is how it goes, right? You're always chasing something else. But I do feel like to a degree, I have at least partially escaped the matrix I used to be talking about. So that's the story. So for anyone watching this who doesn't know my story, I'm fighting. I became 4-time world champion. I was 28 when I won my 4th world title. And one day I woke up and I literally just woke up. I looked at my bank. I just won a world title fight, but I hadn't fought in 6 months. By the time I paid all my back rent and paid my car payments, all that, I looked at my bank. I had like $3,000, $4,000 in there. And I'm like, I'm giving up my entire life and I don't even know how I'm going to live. I need to get rich. I want to get rich. So I said to my coach, look, I'm going to take a couple months off and I'm going to focus purely on money. And the story is, and this is a completely true story, I'm sitting with my brother and I'm like, how can we get rich? You know what's amazing? Now I have money. Lots of people always ask me, how do I get rich? And I say, when's the last time you talked about money? When's the last time you sat down with your friends and refused to talk about anything else but how to make money? How are you making money? How are you making money? How am I making money? How can we make money together? How's that guy making money? How's that coffee shop there making money? Is that coffee shop making money? I don't know. Do they sell cake? No. Why don't they sell cake? Everyone in here is a businessman. If they had a cute young waitress, a girl, instead of a guy, they'd probably sell more coffee. Like, no one analyzes anything. They just want to get rich, right? I want to be rich, but they have no plan to get rich. And a hope and a plan are very different things. I explain this to people all the time. Everyone has a dream, but no one has a plan. And nothing good is going to happen on accident, right? I didn't become world champion on accident. I didn't wake up and someone go, how'd you become world champion? And I went, oops. You have to plan for it. So I said to Tristan, we need to discuss money. We need to plan this and we need to work out a way we can get rich. And that's when I started analyzing and understanding banks and the credit system and the money system, how the world actually works. And then I got really pissed off because I realized that money isn't real and it's all a scam. And the banks are destroying us in real time with inflation. And I still don't have any. So I was really mad. And I'm writing down, I was watching some YouTube videos like financial advice and we're talking about assets, liabilities, etc. And I'm writing down all my assets. And I'm trying to work out what I have that's worth money. And the only thing I writ down, because I had a car, but what's that worth? Nothing. I'm big and strong, but I'm already fighting. I can't think of anything else to do with that. The only thing I had was, because I'd been fighting all around the world, I had these 6 girlfriends, right? Because you'd win the world title, you fuck a ring girl, she falls in love with you, you're the big millionaire in London, of course, she thinks you live in the balling life, you're in some tiny apartment with a door lock. So, I had these girlfriends and I thought, well, I can't open a strip club. It costs money to open a strip club. And I'm kind of racking my brain and by absolute coincidence, I'm going around the internet and I saw in the corner, talk to live girls now. And I'd never in my life, like I was never a porn guy. I've never been watching porn or clicking on these things. And I said, talk to live girls. So I clicked on it and there's some chick there on a computer, like, hi, and I was like, my girls can do that. So that was the very beginning. That was the eureka moment. I walked into my brother's bedroom and I said, we're going to start a webcam company. That was the beginning of it all.
If you teach young men how to go out there and become rich as possible, it's very difficult they can do that without learning some degree of mental fortitude, without learning how to speak to people, without learning how to network, without learning how to be competent and disciplined and motivated and work hard. And then they do all that, they have enough money so that when someone comes along and says, take this injection, they'll say, no, I don't want to take the injection. I'd rather miss the flight. So there is a key component of resistance which actually involves materialism. I'll argue that if I was exactly the same person with the same viewpoints, but I was completely and utterly flat broke, I wouldn't be able to make the same impact on the world. And I wouldn't be able to resist the programming the same because I need to eat food. So I'd actually counter-argue any conservative who's complaining about my beautiful car collection of 42, not one, 42 nice cars, that having a lot of money is actually an important way to resist the matrix. I can only talk from personal experience, but the number of times, especially during COVID, for example, where I managed to not have to comply with any of the laws simply because I was loaded, I can't even name them on 10 hands. So materialism is important. I think we should be teaching, especially the young boys, especially people who understand, who want to live in a very rational world, who want to live in a world which is based on common sense and dignity and honor and respect and all the things we're trying to teach through conservatism, is that if they don't have a degree of financial stability or financial independence, they're going to end up getting wrecked anyway. They're going to work for Woke Corp. And Woke Corp's going to change its Twitter picture or X picture, whatever it's called now, to a pride flag, and they're going to be screwed anyway. So you have to be teaching to a degree financial independence. I don't know why that's seen as a bad thing. I'd actually really like to argue that point with who was complaining about my car. Sure, let's talk about the matrix. Before we do that, let's talk about this recent conservative attack. I want to make it clear that I don't watch basically any of the attack videos made on me. I'm busy and I'm very happy with my life, and I don't allow attacks on my psyche. If somebody makes a video that attacks me, I don't watch it. I don't watch it because I don't want to watch it because I don't care.
I don't watch them either.
I don't care. And I don't say this to insult Liz or anyone else. I don't know them enough or respect them enough to give a what they made or what they say. I don't care. So I can't talk about the specifics of what she said because I don't know what she said because I didn't watch it. Who is the Matrix and what is the Matrix as a whole? I have to be very careful what I say, and I don't want to get in too much trouble. But I think anybody who is perspicacious enough to understand how the world works understands that the media machine is trying very hard to keep us convinced of certain ideas, and also to keep us arguing about very unimportant ideas, so people behind the media machine who decide what goes on the news can do whatever they want to do. And the things they do usually have dire consequences to all of our lives.
Right.
So I would say that the Matrix as a whole is the media machine from the projection point of view, and that the people who control the media try very hard to make sure they have ultimate control over all governments and all important decisions on the planet. Kind of evil and scary that these people have a worldview which is so logically flawed, is so devoid of genuine rationale, that they have to go to the most susceptible subsect of the population to inject it. And I just think it's an unfortunate of the human condition that people don't really like to learn lessons the easy way. They have to learn them the very hard way. And it's very difficult for us to sometimes sit and tell people the truth, and they just don't want to learn it until it's too late.
I'm an emotional man. I think men are hyper emotional. We just have to control it. I was extremely busy inside of my jail cell. I had lots of push-ups to do. I was very concerned about the people on the outside. I was trying my best to get out. It's difficult for me to answer the question because it was an interesting frame of mind. I knew that God was watching and I had to perform. It's very difficult for me to go through life saying I'm the top G, I'm this, I'm that, and speak about mental resilience and mental toughness, and then the second I'm thrown inside of a solitary confinement cell, cower out. I'm not that person. There's some other people who talk about mental toughness and want to give advice, and when bad things happen to them, they end up addicted to prescription drugs. I'm not a coward and I'm not a liar. I was emotional. I missed people. I missed them, and I knew they missed me. So I felt a strong sense of missing.
But you cried?
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
That's crying.
Oh, that's a perfectly fine scenario to cry in, but I think the act of crying is an act of desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting, these out-of-date clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to camera, those videos were made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then. The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that has 50 million viewers. Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. If you teach young men how to go out there and become rich as possible, it's very difficult they can do that without learning some degree of mental fortitude, without learning how to speak to people, without learning how to network, without learning how to be competent and disciplined and motivated and work hard. And then they do all that, they have enough money so that when someone comes along and says, take this injection, they'll say, no, I don't want to take the injection, I'd rather miss the flight. So there is a key component of resistance which actually involves materialism. I'll argue that if I was exactly the same person with the same viewpoints, but I was completely and utterly flat broke, I wouldn't be able to make the same impact on the world. And I wouldn't be able to resist the programming the same, because I need to eat food. So I'd actually counter-argue any conservative who's complaining about my beautiful car collection of 42, not one, 42 nice cars, that having a lot of money is actually an important way to resist the matrix. I can only talk from personal experience, but the number of times, especially during COVID, for example, where I managed to not have to comply with any of the laws simply because I was loaded, I can't even name them on 10 hands. So materialism is important. I think we should be teaching, especially the young boys, especially people who understand, who want to live in a very rational world, who want to live in a world which is based on common sense and dignity and honor and respect and all the things we're trying to teach through conservatism, is that if they don't have a degree of financial stability or financial independence, they're going to end up getting wrecked anyway. They're going to work for Woke Corp. And Woke Corp's going to change its Twitter picture or X picture, whatever it's called now, to a pride flag, and they're going to be screwed anyway. So you have to be teaching to a degree financial independence. I don't know why that's seen as a bad thing. I'd actually really like to argue that point with who was complaining about my car. Sure, let's talk about the Matrix. Before we do that, let's talk about this recent conservative attack. I want to make it clear that I don't watch basically any of the attack videos made on me. I'm busy and I'm very happy with my life, and I don't allow attacks on my psyche. If somebody makes a video that attacks me, I don't watch it. I don't watch it because I don't want to watch it because I don't care.
I don't watch them either.
I don't care. And I don't say this to insult Liz or anyone else. I don't know them enough or respect them enough to give a shit what they made or what they say. I don't care. So I can't talk about the specifics of what she said because I don't know what she said because I didn't watch it. Who is the Matrix and what is the Matrix as a whole? I have to be very careful what I say, and I don't want to get in too much trouble. But I think anybody who is perspicacious enough to understand how the world works understands that the media machine is trying very hard to keep us convinced of certain ideas, and also to keep us arguing about very unimportant ideas. So people behind the media machine who decide what goes on the news can do whatever they want to do. And the things they do usually have dire consequences to all of our lives.
Right.
So I would say that the Matrix as a whole is the media machine from the projection point of view, and that the people who control the media try very hard to make sure they have ultimate control over all governments and all important decisions on the planet. Kind of evil and scary that these people have a worldview which is so logically flawed, is so devoid of genuine rationale, that they have to go to the most susceptible subsect of the population to inject it. And I just think it's an unfortunate of the human condition that people don't really like to learn lessons the easy way. They have to learn them the very hard way, and it's very difficult for us to sometimes sit and tell people the truth, and they just don't want to learn it until it's too late.
I'm an emotional man. I think men are hyper emotional. We just have to control it. I was extremely busy inside of my jail cell. I had lots of push-ups to do. I was very concerned about the people on the outside. I was trying my best to get out. It's difficult for me to answer the question because it was an interesting frame of mind. I knew that God was watching and I had to perform. It's very difficult for me to go through life saying I'm the top G, I'm this, I'm that, and speak about mental resilience and mental toughness, and then the second I'm thrown inside of a solitary confinement cell, cower out. I'm not that person. There's some other people who talk about mental toughness and want to give advice, and when bad things happen to them, they end up addicted to prescription drugs. I'm not a coward and I'm not a liar. I was emotional. I missed people. I missed them, and I knew they missed me. So I felt a strong sense of missing.
But you cried?
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's crying.
Oh, that's a perfectly fine scenario to cry in, but I think the act of crying is an act of desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
Or power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting, these out-of-date clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to camera, those videos were made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then. The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that has 50 million viewers. Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. I think that a lot of the reason why women can't live this life, if they so choose, if you're a woman who decides to work, then go to work, I don't care. But if you're a woman who decides she wants to retire, it's because she can't find a man who could provide for her at this level. Do you think when a woman marries a billionaire that she wants to go get a job in Starbucks? Because in my experience, when they marry extremely successful men, they don't want a job. I'm sure Ronaldo's wife isn't begging to go work in IKEA.
Actually, no. Ronaldo's wife works very hard.
She works for herself, which is different.
And her family.
Of course,
yeah.
Which is different.
She's a hard-working woman.
Absolutely, because being a fantastic partner and having a bunch of children is a bunch of hard work. And she also finds the energy to have businesses on the side. Fantastic.
Right. But you don't want women to have businesses.
No, I'm saying if you're with a man of my stature, you don't have to work. Now, if I met a perfect woman and we were together and we were happy.
When you say a man of your stature, with respect, right now you have no income, no possessions, and you're facing serious criminal charges. I mean, I'm not quite sure what stature you think you're currently selling, but it ain't great.
Okay, well then it's a shame all those women inboxed me after I put that tweet out saying,
I agree
with you. I think you should interview
I met a woman yesterday who, when I said I was coming to interview, was immediately like, oh, can you put a good word in for me?
Of course.
Sure. You have a definite appeal to a certain type of woman. There's no question.
I think providing for a woman
is
financially is a man's responsibility. If that means I'm a misogynist, then I'm a misogynist.
No,
I think
so you accept you are a misogynist?
No, I think a man should provide for a woman financially, completely and utterly. If she wants to work, if my partner were to say to me right now, I really feel like getting a job, it would make me happy, then I'll say work. But she doesn't have to. Her job is looking after the children, looking after me, and being as happy as possible. If you think I'm a bad person for saying, if you actually read that, read the subtext and context.
I read it all out.
Okay, good. Then you understand what I'm saying.
You know I did, you heard it.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is, I am a man, my life is stressful, my life is pain. I go to jail, I suffer, I have to deal with making money. I have constant endless headache. I do all of that so I can give you everything, but then I get to have you. Your job is to be happy. I want you to smile. I want you to look your best and feel your best all of the time. If I'm a misogynist for saying that I go through so much pain so that we can be financially secure, so I hope the woman I care about does not have to work a job. If that makes me a bad person, then so be it. Because all I'm saying is I want to take care of her in every single realm. I take care of her physical safety. I take care of her financial security. That is my job as a man. And if more men acted like me, you will see that the world will be a happier and better place. The women who say, I really want to work, I want a career, that's their prerogative and their decision. They're allowed to do that. But also, often the reason they do that is because they can't find a man they trust to take care of them.
No.
I've had this from women in their own
Andrew,
mouth. If I found a man who was financially secure and as smart as you, I wouldn't be doing this garbage job either. Why was I psyoped into working to pay taxes when I should be at home having children with a man I adore?
Andrew,
it's a psyop.
Andrew, there are so many women that will listen to that and be laughing and mocking you. Say, don't be so ridiculous. I have a job that I love. Maybe they're being paid even more than their man, right? The real world isn't the one that you categorize.
The real world is varied and nuanced. But I am talking about my life experience.
There's a very
experience. Any woman I love does not have to work unless she decides.
Fine. You're the boss. You're in charge. Her job is to make you happy. Her job is to make herself look good. Her job is to work out for your benefit. Blah 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 blah. It is actually just misogyny.
Do you think a woman looking
and it's
good,
also?
Do you think a woman looking good and working out has no benefit at all to her?
Of course it does.
Okay, so it's not for my benefit, then is it?
Don't you see? But when you talk about young, no, I don't. When you talk about young men and you tell them to work out and take care of themselves, I cheer you on, right? I want that. I've got 3 sons. I want them to feel that.
Don't you want them to become very rich and successful and have a woman who relies on them and have a beautiful family?
No, but I don't want a woman who's subservient to them.
Why is subservience? Why is a
literally
woman
the tone of the tweet I read is subservience. You did another tweet this week. Men love by telling you what to do and not allowing you to make stupid decisions. We save you from the female inclination to make stupid choices. If a man doesn't give you instructions, he doesn't love you. If you won't listen to a man's instructions, you don't love him. The whole language is so ridiculous.
Let me change the language then.
Well, you tweeted this to 8.2 million people.
Correct. So let me say this. A father loves. Let's say instead of a man loves, say a father loves. A father loves disciplinarian. That's how a father will love you. A mother will say, oh, I hope you're happy, hope you're doing okay. But a father will come along and say, no, don't do this. You must do it that way. That's incorrect. It has to be this way. A father will discipline you because a father feels he knows best for you. It's the masculine essence of love. When a man loves, he shows that he cares via degree.
But there is a massive difference between a relationship between a father and a child and between a man and a woman in a relationship.
Completely.
And I'm not sure you quite get that.
No, there is a difference. But I would argue, Piers, I would argue in the happiest relationships, it's a traditionally masculine role in which the man plays and provides. The female is traditionally feminine. The man is the head of the house, not in an abusive way, doesn't beat her up. I'm talking about the man being the head of the household, like I would like to believe you're the head of your household. And he comes along and says what happens and what doesn't happen because he's the man of the house.
No, that's not. That's actually not how most households operate now.
Well, then it sounds like we understand why the entire world's a mess. Because only 10 years ago, that's exactly how the households operated. There was a man of the house, and now we have no longer any clear defined roles. There's no longer a man of the house. You want to talk about knife crime, kids doing drugs, the crime rate, all of these problems. You want to talk about all of the societal ills we face. Perhaps it's because we don't have any men in the house anymore. Perhaps we need to bring the man of the house back. And the man of the house will come along and be a disciplinarian, and he will make the set rules and the creeds of that house. He will say, within this household, we don't take drugs. That stands for the woman I am with, the children who we have birthed. Nobody takes drugs in this household because this is my house and I'm the man of the house. So it sounds to me like we need to bring it back, sir. I had nightmares for a very long time. I couldn't sleep. I struggled with certain things. I would check my bed sheets every single night for cockroaches religiously. I had a problem with that. But I never turned to therapy. I never turned to drugs. I understood that all of these things are from God and they're given to me so that I can become a stronger version of myself. And I welcomed them all and I embraced them all. And now that I'm a better not completely, but almost better. Part of me actually misses my nightmares, Piers. Part of me misses training. No, I had nightmares. I said I didn't have nightmares in jail. When I left, I did. And I kind of miss it because I had so much time in the day to get things done. And now I'm sleeping a full 6 hours. I feel a little bit lazy. So perhaps I need another test from God. And if God decides, Allah is the best of planners, if he decides I need 8 years in jail, then I will embrace those 8 years in jail and do my absolute best to come out as the most formidable version of myself.
Have you felt...
I would never kill myself under any circumstances. So the day they put that on the news and they finally take me out, you can know it's a lie. It's haram. I would never kill myself. Lock me in that cell for the rest of my life. I would never kill myself. Well, I am actually genuinely concerned by the fact that I've been banned from schools when I do nothing but preach masculine strength and excellence. But then if you actually understand how the society is going and how the world works and all the insanity they're trying to push on all of us, I can understand why they banned me because I speak the truth. If I was wearing a wig, Piers, and lipstick, and telling young boys to remove their genitals, would I have been banned from schools? No. They would have said, no, you can say his name, no problem. No matter how big I got, if I had a wig on and lipstick and I had been castrated medically, I would be allowed to talk to the young boys. But as soon as I say you're supposed to grow up and get big and strong, and if your wife doesn't want a job, you need to pay for her, it's your job as a man, you better find some money, then I'm the public enemy number one. Garbage, of course. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. So because I am in my position, I would not want my woman to work. I think there's more important things she can do.
If you have hundreds of millions of dollars, where you said you had a worth of 17 million.
No, I said they took 17 million. Years.
So where's the rest?
They must have taken it. I think they have it. Or maybe I lost it. I think I lost it somewhere.
You've never had hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course not.
You haven't, have you?
Of course not.
You said they took all your assets.
Exactly.
Well, did they or didn't they?
Of course, they took everything.
I mean, they'll be watching this. Are they to assume that there are hundreds of millions more dollars they haven't got yet?
No, they're watching this. That's right. They take absolutely everything. You have it all.
Right.